The Will Cain Podcast on ESPN Radio.
Jameis Winston and Cam Newton might find themselves at one of the most unique moments in NFL history. One of the hardest points to get a job. And that has nothing to do with the economy. Nothing to do with COVID-19. It has to do with a moment in time where almost every single team is spoken for at quarterback. It's the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, SiriusXM Channel 80, and on ESPN News, presented by Progressive Insurance. And you can join the conversation at 888-729-3776. Coming up on today's show, we have a GOAT. Jerry Rice will be joining us to talk to him about the All-In Challenge and who's the toughest competitor that Jerry Rice ever faced. We also have to do our homework. It's a busy weekend that includes the debut of The Last Dance, ESPN's documentary on the final year of the Chicago Bulls dynasty. So we need to pick some homework this weekend that was a little bit easier to accomplish. As you know, we've been, over the last several weeks, delving into various movie categories, and everybody on the show, Nemo, Bubbles, Pat, Mike A., and myself, have been picking our favorite movies from certain genres. Buddy cop movies, war movies, heist movies. And then having a competition when we come back every Monday as to who picked the best from the given category. Well, with so much going on this weekend, we decided to pick a category that's a little less time intensive. We're going to pick the best stand-up specials since the year 2000. We've got to set our big board, and we need your help. Who should be in the brainstorming session? Who should be on the draft board? Help us out. Bill Burr, Dave Chappelle, Chris Rock. What's the best stand-up special since 2000? That'll be our homework this weekend. But it's time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Jameis and Cam, Camus and Jame. I made that up just now. Unintentionally. They find themselves in a position where it's almost impossible to find a job. And I want you to think about what's so difficult. Of course, the economy and, of course, the coronavirus quarantine pandemic. But it's also a time, as Kevin Clark writes in The Ringer, where the supply of quality quarterback play is outstripping demand. Almost everybody in the league feels like they have a franchise quarterback. They at least feel like they have a one-year plan. And most of the league feels like they have a 3 or 5 year plan at quarterback. Clark writes about how we arrived at this moment. He suggests that the adaptation of the NFL to college offenses and quarterbacks who are more ready-made to step into offenses across the NFL have made it an easier transition. Better quarterback play built from the ground up, from 7v7 leagues up through high school, through college, and into the NFL has meant there's more options for NFL teams to find their answers at the most important position on the field. And after the NFL draft, starting this coming Thursday, how many teams across the league will actually be looking for a quarterback? Better asked, how many teams across the league will feel like they're set at quarterback? At least for 1 year, and possibly for the next 3 to 5 years. By my estimation, 90% of the league will be spoken for, leaving Cam and Jameis 2, 3 teams as potential places of employment in 2020. Here, draw a mental picture with me if you can. I made a chart. I lined up every single team in the NFL, and I put a 1, 3, and 5 next to them. That represents the next year, the next 3 years, and the next 5 years. And I said to myself, who's ready to go already with the quarterback position for 2020? And then after the draft, who will be spoken for? When it's all said and done, I think 32 teams, if not 32, 31 or 30 at worst, have a plan for next year at quarterback. The only teams walking into 2020 that after the draft might still have a job that Cam or Jameis could win, in my estimation, would be these 3. The Washington Redskins, the New England Patriots, and the Denver Broncos. Now, 2 of these teams, the Redskins and the Broncos, are at least telling themselves that they have their quarterback for 2020. Drew Lock, with the Broncos, has earned some trust and faith in Denver. And Dwayne Haskins has on his side investment, helping him have a job in 2020. Last year, the Redskins spent a first-round draft pick on Dwayne Haskins, and they're not going to walk away from that, even mid-season, for the promise of Cam Newton. The Patriots are the wild card. We have no idea what Bill Belichick's plan is right now, but it's hard to even think of the Patriots as a team without a plan. That's 3 teams. That's 10% of the league. Well, there's even a job awaiting Jameis and Cam where they could play next year. What more, I think when you analyze the league, several teams have not one but 2 plans for 2020. The Bears, the Jaguars, and the Raiders go into this season with not only a plan but a backup plan at quarterback. I'm talking about not just a backup quarterback but a backup plan. This is the idea that if your franchise quarterback doesn't work out, you might just have a franchise quarterback in waiting. They're not all of equal value, but they're all quarterbacks those franchises are telling themselves they can win with. You know what the Bears are doing. They're going to roll the dice on Mitch Trubisky. They're going to see if this experiment works out. Just like Dwayne Haskins, the investment's too high still to walk away. But just in case Mitch doesn't take that next step and the rest of the roster is ready to compete and win, they now have Nick Foles on the sideline to give them another quarterback plan. The Raiders, seemingly looking at what happened with the Titans, where Ryan Tannehill took the job from Marcus Mariota, signed Marcus Mariota, should he be able to take the job from Derek Carr? That's not a prediction. I think that's just an alternate plan that the Raiders have given themselves, like an insurance policy, a backup idea. They go into 2020 with not one but 2 options that they think there's a chance they could win with at quarterback. And the Jaguars are even more fascinating. Because we know that the Jaguars' plan at quarterback in 2020 is Gardner Minshew. But I'm not sure that's a plan that I can sketch out on my chart. It carries Gardner Minshew into the 3- and 5-year plan. Now, at first blush, I think a lot of people would think, there's an opportunity for Cam. There's an opportunity for Jameis. And in fact, there's been articles written about that in places like SB Nation or Bleacher Report. But I don't think that's a ready-made opportunity for veteran quarterbacks. Because while the Jaguars' plan is Gardner Minshew, I think they have a separate plan in their back pocket. And that plan is Trevor Lawrence. Clemson quarterback, still in college for another year, and presumed number 1 overall pick in the 2021 draft, has to be on the radar for teams in their long-range planning. And the Jaguars, a team that doesn't look like it's ready to win now, and if Gardner Minshew was a one-year wonder, would be in prime position to be selecting number 1 overall. I am so confident this could be part of the Jaguars' plans that I wouldn't be surprised, and I think we should all watch to see, do they hang on to the 9th pick in the 2020 draft, or do they punt, trade back, and acquire assets next year to ensure they can trade up to that number 1 pick to take Trevor Lawrence? I think the Jaguars, like the Bears and like the Raiders, have 2 plans for 2020. And that takes us back to where we started. 10% of the league. 3 jobs for Cam and Jameis. Never before has there been a supply of quarterbacks like this. Never before have there been so many teams that feel like they are set at quarterback. There's one wrinkle. There's one more turn along the road here. And that is, are you prepared for 3 years out? And are you prepared for what you can't prepare for? Who's starting a veteran quarterback next year that you can't count on being there in 2 to 3 years? Who is going to get blindsided like the Colts a few years ago with Andrew Luck? I did this experiment. I had this conversation. We mapped out this same scenario 2 years ago with Andy Benoit, then of SportsIllustrated.com. It ended up being printed in Sports Illustrated in an article talking about how many teams were sure they had their franchise quarterback. Let's revisit a little bit later here on the Will Cain Show how that panned out. Were we right? Because at that time, most of the league thought they had their guy as well. Were they right or were they wrong? Because that'll tell us where we are today and how we do plan for that wrinkle, that turn in the corner, that unpredictable nature, and potentially that job opening for Jameis and Cam. That's Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Everything for less, only at Walmart. We'll explore the 2 to 3 year plans out at franchise quarterback, plus how good were we at this experiment 2 years ago, a little bit later on the Will Cain Show. But now, let us talk to the greatest of all time. Jerry Rice joins the Will Cain Show next.
With the Capital One Quicksilver Card, you earn unlimited 1.5% cash back on every purchase, everywhere. That's unlimited 1.5% cash back on everything you buy. And unlimited really means unlimited. With Quicksilver, there's no limit to how much cash back you can earn. Capital One, what's in your wallet? Credit approval required. Capital One Bank USA, N.A.
Today's horoscope brought to you by Geico.
Today begins a journey toward a new you, Aries, making smarter, healthier decisions for yourself. Starting with going to Geico.com and discovering you could save hundreds of dollars a year on car insurance with Geico. You will also attend your first fitness boot camp. Your journey toward a new you will stumble after your 11th burpee and ends with you hyperventilating in the parking lot. Tomorrow's a new day, Aries.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Would you like a chance to hang out with the greatest of all time? I thought you would. It's the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio, presented by Progressive Insurance. Well, here's how you can do it. The All-In Challenge brings together the world's preeminent athletes, artists, entertainers, team sports owners, and business titans who have auctioned up their most prized possessions or created once-in-a-lifetime experiences that'll be available for online auction to you, where you can enter to win some of these giveaways. 100% of the money raised by the All-In Challenge will benefit organizations providing food to those in need. And of course, you know the need is high in this moment. And one of the coolest things you'll have a chance to do is what I'm about to do right now. And that's hang out with the greatest of all time. It's Jerry Rice on the Will Cain Show. What's up, Jerry?
Hey, how you doing, Will?
I'm really well, thank you. Are you doing well? Staying safe, staying healthy, staying sane?
Yeah, man, shelter in place, and social, distancing and all of that, man. I'm doing all the right things. And you know what, we still not completely out of this right now. So we need everybody to really continue to be a team and, stay inside.
We do, Jerry, and we need people to help others out. And you're doing just that. You've put up an experience for auction, and folks out there listening can help others and get a really cool opportunity to talk some football with you. Tell us about what you're doing with the All-In Challenge.
Well, the All-In Challenge is all about, different charities, for the frontline workers, the kids, the elderly, to provide meals and do all that. So I had this opportunity, and Joe Montana and I against the New York Giants, it was a 78-yarder touchdown with about 42 seconds left in the ball game. That was the game winner. And so I'm going to put that up. Then also I'm going to do a Zoom brunch where, I can, talk to that individual and they can ask me questions and do all that. I can give them, the insights on football and all of that stuff. Then they get the opportunity to come to a football game. They're going to have 2 tickets. They get a chance to come down on the field and hang out with me and do all that. And also my energy drink, Goat Fuel, which, I think of like the frontliners, the first responders, the doctors, the nurses, all of that, those are the real goats. They're like the greatest of all time for their service and what they're doing right now.
That is awesome, man. So you get an autographed ball, as you just laid out. It's a 78-yard touchdown that you and Joe completed with each other against the Giants. You get to hang out on a Zoom brunch for an hour,
right.
Go to a game with you, and the starting bid at this right now is $5,000. That's going to be pretty cool for somebody out there. And, by the way, they're going to get to do things like I'm about to do with you. So I want to pick your brain for a moment, Jerry, if I can. Let's start with current football. Can we talk about receivers in this supposedly very, very deep NFL draft class? I would love to get the feedback of the GOAT. When I look at this draft, Jerry, every time I read about college receivers coming to the NFL, it's almost like they're broken down into two categories. There's these X-wide receivers who are big ball hawks and, can just overpower defenders and get in the ball. And then there's the specialist, the route runner, who gets separation. It's almost like there's two different camps, that you can draft from. Jerry Jeudy and Van Jefferson in one, and then CeeDee Lamb, the other big receiver, kind of in the other, in the playmaker category. As a receiver, do you see it that way, where you can kind of go, there's two different kinds of receivers you can go for?
Yeah, I think for me back in the day, it was more about route running and, just getting separation where the quarterback could deliver the football. And the guys had to be a certain status. They had to be sort of like a big receiver. But now you're seeing this new trend of receivers. These guys are much smaller and just their quickness off the line and all of that. If I had to draft someone, say, San Francisco 49er, Jerry Jeudy. I love everything that he does on the football field. And, he can run good routes. He can, be that guy to stretch the field. And really, I think that's really what we need in our passing offense right now. I think we have all the other pieces of the puzzle, but if we can get a receiver like that guy, it's really going to take us to the next level.
And Jerry Jeudy is that route running precision technician that everybody talks about. I think I would agree, Jerry. Like, that's the kind of receiver I would hope for. And I'll tell you this, anybody that's ever listened to me or seen me knows I'm pretty honest about my bias. I'm a huge Cowboy fan. And I've seen Amari Cooper's effect on Dak Prescott. And that's what he is, right? He's a route runner. Who do you think's the best route runner in the league already?
God, my God, that's hard now because it's like the league done changed so much. If you couldn't run routes back when I played, it was no way you were going to be on the team or, on the football field. So, because I think with the run pass option now, you don't have the quarterback on the center as much. So the timing is, it's a little bit different. So, you notice that, these guys are not really running that many routes, and I think it's all about just getting the ball out. The quarterback is, about getting the ball out of his hands and stuff like that. So, yeah, you got to go Julio Jones, Antonio Brown. I like Odell Beckham too. And I think the best of all is Larry Fitzgerald.
Larry Fitzgerald is probably criminally underrated because he's been in the desert. And by the way, he hasn't had quarterbacks.
I know, man. I know but you talking about a player that just a complete team player. He does whatever he has to do to put his team in a position to win. And that doesn't mean the ball is always going to come his direction or anything like that. But he's he's going to be on that backside, working hard. And if they're going to double him, then he's going to open the door for other receivers or other players to make plays.
Hey, Jerry, when I was a kid, I used to pore over, of course, it was the newspaper back then. And I'm telling you, I'm biased, so just discount for what I say, knowing these things. But, I'd look at him and was like, who's Mike competing with? Like, it's Jerry, of course. And look, everybody agrees you're the greatest. I think Michael Irvin would say, everybody would say it. So it was Mike, though. It was back then, there was Herman Moore at the Lions. There was Chris Carter, Sterling Sharp,
Andre Rison.
Yes. So, okay. You're helping me fill in the choices here, the multiple choice. So this is what I got to ask you.
Hey, Will, I'm gonna tell you something, Will.
Tell me.
Hey, man, but I would follow Mike like crazy. Michael Irvin, it's like I would check the stats and do all that. And we all went to the Super Bowl. Not the Super Bowl. I'm sorry. We all went to the Pro Bowl. And, you had Chris Carter, Michael Irvin, Andre Rison, then you had myself. And it's like, oh, my God, like, who you going to throw the ball to? Because there's only one ball to go around. And Michael, Michael Irvin, he always, he wanted the ball. Then Chris Carter, then you had Andre Rison, Bad Moon Rison. Yeah. So it was crazy, man. But, we got along, man. And I think the thing, too, when you see those guys really doing well, that's going to give you that incentive to work a little bit harder and try to be the best that you can be.
Well, you just answered the question I wanted to ask. So I wanted to ask you: did you stat check? Were you looking at those guys? Who was the one you were comparing or competing with silently there? And it was, I guess, all those guys.
Yeah, all of those guys, man. And I think, you know, it was one of those where you never got complacent. You know, you never felt like you had arrived. You know, you had to continue to work hard because I knew Michael Irvin was going to bring it. I knew Chris Carter, Andre Rison, Anthony Carter, all these players. And I always, you know, would check the stats, and then I would try to come back the next week and have a better football game.
All right, I've got one more for you, Jerry. I'm going to let my man Pat back in the studio play this little bit for you. We are asking this of all of our big-time guests soon, so I'm going to have you be the first. Pat, take it away.
Tough battle today.
It's going to be a really tough test for us.
A tough loss for us, a tough night.
What's tough about this, we've had 3 tough losses.
This is our toughest opponent to date.
Who's the toughest?
All right, Jerry, who's the toughest competitor or opponent you've ever had to face?
I had a couple guys. Defensive backs are the best players on the football field. I would say Deion Sanders and Darrell Green.
There you go. You knew the answer. Jerry, I love talking to you. Last time you were on the show, I think we talked about Hennessy, and you guys sent us some Hennessy, and I had to try it. And today it's for a bigger cause, and we appreciate you jumping in. Everybody should know $5,000 is the starting bid. Right now, it's an autographed game ball, Montana to Rice, 78 yards. It's a brunch on Zoom with Jerry, and it's ultimately a game to hang out with the greatest of all time. Jerry,
then
really
also my Go Fuel energy drink.
Yes, and Go Fuel energy drink.
Okay, buddy.
All right, thanks, Jerry.
Take care.
All right, take care. Here you go. Go bid on that at the allinchallenge.com. Coming up, college basketball might just be lost forever. The NBA is on an all-out assault. I explain next on the Will Cain Show. Have you heard about the All-In Challenge? Sure, because I just told you about it along with Jerry Rice. It's a fundraising effort for coronavirus crisis relief. 100% of what is raised will benefit organizations providing food to those in need, particularly kids, the elderly, and frontline workers. You can check it out at allinchallenge.com. You'll find all types of once-in-a-lifetime experiences and items to bid on or enter to win, including an autographed ball like you just heard from Jerry Rice, signing a one-day contract to play with Mark Cuban and the Mavericks, or the chance to go to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers home opener and have dinner with Tom Brady afterward. Again, 100% of the proceeds benefit organizations providing food to those in need. If you want to participate or learn more about how these organizations help, visit allinchallenge.com. The biggest prospects in basketball aren't going to universities. No, in fact, they're dropping their commitments. They're headed to the G League. Next on the Will Cain Show.
Your home is important. That's why Geico helps make it easy to save on homeowners insurance. Because home is more than just a place. Home is where you build a giant pillow fort in your living room. And when people ask why you have a pillow fort in your living room, you say it's for your dog. And when they ask, well, what kind? You say, chocolate lab. And weave a web of lies that's almost as intricate as the crown molding in Fort Pillow. The Geico Insurance Agency could help protect the pillow soft fortress you call home. Call Geico and see how easy it is to switch and save on homeowners insurance.
When I say trend, I think we tend to think, oh yeah, that's a fad over a year or two. There's a trend today, taking place in the sports landscape, and it threatens to upend college basketball. It's the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio, presented by Progressive Insurance. Make it easy to bundle your home and car insurance. What happens if all the best basketball players, all the best prospects in high school don't go to Duke, Kansas, and Kentucky? What if they go to the G League? That could be happening right now. We'll explain the effects coming up on the Will Cain Show. But our homework this weekend is to watch the best stand-up specials since 2000. We were thinking, we've had this homework every weekend where the 5 of us, Nemo, Bubbles, Mike A., Pat, and myself, all nominate a movie from whatever category we pick. Again, we've done war movies, buddy cop movies, heist movies. I've won most of the time, but there's been a couple other guys get a few victories.
What,
we come back on Monday.
What do you mean you won most of the time?
I have the most victories.
No, you don't. You have 2 half victories.
I have 2, and the next closest competitor has 1. Pat, there's a growing Pat hate contingency in the audience, and this does not help your case. Okay?
Debatable.
I suggest you put on a happier face for the audience. Can you do it, Pat?
The audience loves me. I'm the biggest baby face on the show.
That's not true. That's
Think you're
not
a heel. Think you're a heel.
You're definitely the heel.
But we did discuss that there's a lot going on this weekend. We're going to be watching the Michael Jordan, the Chicago Bulls dynasty documentary on ESPN on Sunday night, The Last Dance. So we thought we might save some time and mix it up a little bit. Instead of doing a movie genre, what we're going to do this weekend is nominate the best stand-up specials since 2000. Now, I readily admit this is an away game for me. This is not my specialty. And I picked the category, once again, because I'm the victor last week. But I pick last, and that makes me nervous because I don't know stand-up really well. On the other hand, Pat, this is a home game. This is his specialty. Nuno, this is what he talks about the most, right? If there's anything that gets him fired up, it seems to be stand-up comedy and the Eagles. Wouldn't you say, Nuno?
Sorry, answering phones, but of course Pat doesn't help me out and say, "Oh, he's answering phones." Oh, he acts like he's knocking down stand-up comedies every night.
So, with Pat's help, unfortunately, and Nuno, you can get back to the phones, we need to set our big board. We need a brainstorming session. In the third hour of the show, we'll each draft our favorites, and we'll go home and watch these 5 and see who wins on Monday. But we have to have a brainstorming session. I'm going to need some help. What should go up? So here's what I think, Pat. I've only done a few, and I know this. I'm a Bill Burr fan, but I don't really know which special, I should nominate or I should pick or what should even be on the big board. Where do you go with Bill Burr?
Which special?
Yeah, we're going to have to pick specific specials, not just one guy, right?
Ooh, I don't remember what it's called, but the one that was in black and white was probably the best Bill Burr's ever been.
I went and looked up a couple. There is You People Are All the Same, Paper Tiger. There is, of course, let's just go ahead and get him on the board, Dave Chappelle. I loved his new one, the one that was so, in air quotes, controversial. I don't know if that's his best. Pat, what's Dave Chappelle's best?
A lot of people probably say Kill Them Softly, which was the first one in 2000.
Yeah, that's right.
Kill Them Softly. Okay, I'm going to write
By the way,
down.
it's Bill Burr, I'm Sorry You Feel That Way.
That's the black and white one? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Kill Them Softly, Dave Chappelle. Here's something I'm getting on Twitter. Dane Cook, Retaliation? No?
Well,
it can go on the board.
Yeah, you can put him on the board. He just doesn't, there's no appeal for him.
Okay. Pat, what about Chris D'Elia? Did I say it right? Man on Fire?
D'Elia.
D'Elia, okay.
Yeah, he's fine.
Okay, all right. Well, let me see what the people have to say. Mike in L.A. What's up, Mike?
Hey, what's going on, Will?
What's up? What do you have for me?
Well, this is just hit the cusp. It was in 2000. I went to see this with my entire family. It's the original Kings of Comedy. You had Cedric the Entertainer. You had Bernie Mac, and D.L. Hughley.
I remember that, Mike. Does that count as one special, though? Or is that, how long is that?
It was an entire movie. It actually came out in theaters, but I would say it's the King of
Oh, you're losing your phone there, Mike. Okay, but I got it on the board. The original Kings of Comedy. What about Luke out in Cali? What's up, Luke?
Hey, how's it going, Will?
Good. What's up? Who do you have?
My nomination is Bert Kreischer. He's got 3, I think, Netflix specials, but his latest one is Hey Big Boy. That's a really funny one. Or I think it's his first one is The Machine, which is his classic story that's gone viral numerous times of the Russian mafia or whatever. But they're hilarious.
Now, Pat, you talked about Bert Kreischer. You actually talked about The Machine. I've never heard Bert Kreischer, but I've heard great things about him.
Yeah, if you're going to put one on the board from him, it's got to be The Machine.
Okay. What about Preston in Phoenix? What do you have for me, Preston?
Hey, Will. I'd go with Thoughts and Prayers by Anthony Jeselnik. I don't even think it's close in terms of specials since 2000.
So here's going to be the thing, right? I think stand-up obviously is so very subjective. I've tried Jeselnik, and it didn't do it for me. It was just, I guess, the pacing, and it was a little dry. I didn't dislike it, but for my taste, I'll tell you, it didn't reach the Chappelle Burr level. You think I'm off, Pat?
No, I think you're totally right on with that. He didn't really do anything for me either, if I'm being honest.
What about Cody from Arizona? What's up, Cody? You there, Cody?
Oh, there we go. Yep. How you doing?
I'm good. What's up, man?
Hey, I wanted to nominate Anthony Jeselnik.
This guy, is he even listening to the show?
Which
I'm
one?
sorry?
No, Pat! Back off. Okay, which Anthony Jeselnik? Which Anthony that you got, Cody?
Listen, I don't remember the exact one. He just had one come out on Netflix within the last week or two.
Oh, within the last week or two.
Excuse me, got choked up there.
Okay. All right, I got it. Anthony Jeselnik, thoughts and prayers. Bert Kreischer, The Machine. Dave Chappelle, Killing Them Softly. The Original Kings of Comedy. Bill Burr, I'm sorry you feel that way, or you people are all the same. We're starting to put the big board together. You can keep giving me information, 888-729-3776. In the third hour, we'll pick 5. We all go home, you two in the audience and the 5 of us here on the show, and we do our homework. We watch and decide on Monday who had the best nomination for the best stand-up special since 2000. College basketball is about to change. It's happening today. Next on The Will Cain Show.
Geico knows there are many reasons why you ride. From the camaraderie of the other bikers, a band of brothers, always there for you, rain or shine, to the amazing savings you get with Geico on your motorcycle insurance and accessories coverage all year round. But for Bucky Hornhill, it was one reason in particular.
It was my helmet hair. I was born with helmet hair. I've tried to cut it a bunch of times, even buzzing it, but it immediately just goes back to helmet hair.
Geico Motorcycle. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Is college basketball changing today? Is it losing? Is the NBA taking the best players out of high school? It's the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio. Of course, you know there's a one-and-done rule. Of course, you know the NBA can't draft prospects straight out of high school. So why is college basketball losing to the NBA? Because of the G League. Within the past hour, as the Will Cain Show kicked off this afternoon, the number 13 high school basketball prospect in the nation, Isaiah Todd, committed to playing in the NBA's G League. This came on the heels of the number 1 prospect in high school basketball, Jalen Green, saying yesterday that he also would skip out on committing to Michigan, to Duke, to Kentucky, to Kansas, and instead go the way of the NBA's G League. Why? I'm going to give you 2 reasons. Number 1, the NCAA is vulnerable right now. We're having conversations daily about whether or not college athletics are going to come back, and if they do, in what form, with what kind of support behind them, financially and in the stands. The NCAA is flat out vulnerable right now, but that doesn't mean professional sports league are any more ready to tip off just yet. But on top of that, the G League has the ability to offer these guys, the top prospects, the best players now, $500,000, and that's not all. These kids can make $500,000 in the G League, plus get a college scholarship when and if they decide to return to school. They can sign endorsements, and they can do a lot of things, in essence, along with potentially someday getting a college education. It's $500,000, but Jalen Rose was on Get Up this morning. He said, just realize it's not quite $500K. Listen to this.
This $500,000, we keep acknowledging that number. I need to teach people something. It ain't $500,000. Once you pay Uncle Sam, that's 40%. Once you pay your agent, that's between 4 and 10%. Once you pay for insurances, that's another 10 to 15%. So we keep saying 500,000. It's really like 225,000. Just to put it in perspective, that's still more than 98% of the world makes. But I'm just acknowledging that these players who take this route, it's an awesome opportunity. But as Woj also alluded to, the stage in collegiate basketball is major. Playing on national TV, having an alumni base to support you going forward. So there is a lot of positives to going to to go play collegiate sports. I'm not going to slam the collegiate game. What I slam is the fact that they try to act like it's amateurism.
I think what's interesting there is that Jalen Rose points to Adrian Wojnarowski, who's made the counter-argument. He's made the point that let's not write off college basketball just yet. Yes, you can get $500K, go through some endorsements, and yes, you can get this college scholarship, but you give up something if you give up college basketball. You give up something if you go to Australia, like LaMelo Ball. Or if you even go to the G League, what do you give up? Center stage, the brightest spotlight. Would Zion be Zion without it? Here's Woj.
It will likely alter college basketball, but Greeny, if players want to play college basketball and they want a lot of money to do it, that marketplace is there. Now, it's not, listen, there's two different conversations. Ethically, the right thing is for the NCAA to pay players above board to give them their market value, to allow them to profit off their likenesses. They haven't done that. They don't show any inclination that they ever want to do that. But for practical purposes, if you are a player and you want the marketing platform of college basketball, Zion Williamson's not Zion Williamson if he went and did this for a year, what we're talking about with Jalen Green versus the platform at Duke. I think Jalen Rose can speak to this. Being part of the Fab Five still resonates with people. So if kids want that, there is somebody there at a high level who will pay you a lot of money to do that.
There is still no brighter spotlight, no bigger stage pre the NBA than college basketball. Zion simply wouldn't be Zion without it. And I'll give you the alternative to that. A year ago, the number one prospect in the country was James Wiseman. He did not end up getting to play college basketball because of rules violations, potentially going to Memphis. Wiseman has now, in most mock drafts, dropped to something like 8, 9, 10. Missing out on center stage, not just a year of basketball, but missing out on that spotlight can really hurt somebody's career. College basketball will retain that. Yes, the G League will offer money, and the G League can offer one-on-one coaching. Theoretically, specialized coaching that could offset losing coaching from great guys, great minds like Krzyzewski and Izzo. The G League will have a lot to offer these guys, and I suspect it will continue to be a draw for more and more players with these kind of dollar figures. But the spotlight, for now, is still on college basketball. I would say, though, it's vulnerable. Tune in to Last Dance, a behind-the-scenes look at the 90s Chicago Bulls dynasty. The 10-part series begins Sunday, April 19th at 9 p.m. on ESPN. And listen to the wrap-up podcast hosted by Jalen Jacoby immediately following the broadcast, presented by State Farm. Available wherever you enjoy your podcast. Give us a brainstorming session here on our comedy specials this weekend. Nathan in South Dakota. Give me a quick one, Nathan. What do you have? Nathan. He's gone. He's gone. Ted, quick. From Palm Springs. Ted, what do you have?
Let's do Happy Thoughts by Daniel Tosh.
There you go. I like how quick that is. Okay, Happy Thoughts by Daniel Tosh joins the big board. You know what nobody's even said yet? Louis C.K. We've got Tosh, C.K. We need to get Rogan up there. We got Burr. We got Chappelle. Best comedy special since 2000. That'll be our homework. Help us fill out the big board. Itur Gross Matos. Next on The Will Cain Show.
Thank you for listening to the Will Cain Podcast. You can listen to the Will Cain Show live weekdays at 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app. The Will Cain Podcast.
Geico gets you access to licensed agents 24/7, which means that Geico is always there for you. If only everyone was always there for you, like your wife when you forget your keys at work.
Hey, hon, you get my texts? I am looking for the spare house key. Maybe I can get through the window. Turns out the alarm works. Wow, it works fast. You should probably call me back.
Geico, always there for you, with savings and 24/7 access to licensed agents.